Welcome friends to a Warhammer 40K video. Today we will examine the Eye of Terror, how it was formed and what it unleashed on the galaxy, and what and who it harbours within its dark and twisted borders. Lore spoilers throughout, let's get into it. The Eye of Terror is a realm of madness and despair, where skies weep blood, ancient stars burn in multicoloured flares, and the whims of the dark gods of chaos hold sway. Synonymous with discord, terror, ancient secrets, and insanity, no other place in the galaxy fills the mind with such dread and foreboding. It's an enormous warp rift, where the realm of the warp, a realm of psychic energy beneath our own, breaks through to the normal universe. It's nearly 20,000 light years across and on the rimward edge of the galaxy. The Eye was created by the Eldar. They were an ancient race who ruled the stars. When the Eldar became bored with their dominance, they explored other forms of sensation, and this began to stir something in the psychic warp. Their debauchery filled it with Eldar excess that gave birth to a new god, Slanesh, the prince of excess and pleasure. That psychic wave could not be contained in the warp, but came out through the minds of the Eldar into the material plane, and because of how it emerged, the Eye covers most of the region that was once occupied by the Eldar Empire. A world that is near the Eye is Cadia. There had been pylons on Cadia before humanity had come to the world. It was known the pylons could emit an anti-psychic field, but nothing more. A theory was that they had some control over the warp, calming it and creating a bubble of temporal stability that had let ships navigate the route into and out of the Eye of Terror. What was not known at the time of its discovery was that the pylons were instruments of Necron technology that were erected millions of Terran years ago as part of that soulless race's great work to cut off real space from all interaction with the warp. When a warp storm began to engulf the edges of the Cadian system, the emitters began to respond. This was because the forces of the warp under Abaddon the Despoiler wanted to overload the network on the planet, so the Eye of Terror would be able to envelop all of the Imperium of mankind. This was during the 13th Black Crusade, and Abaddon is a war master of chaos. In the Crusade, the Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Kol was looking into the pylons and was approached by Necron overlord Trazyn, who wanted to aid humanity against their mutual enemies in the warp. They unlocked the pylons' full abilities, which would allow them to cut off the planet Cadia from the warp, which would banish the demons of chaos. It began to shrink the Eye of Terror even, and lastly, it gave the forces stationed on Cadia a small chance of victory. But Abaddon the Despoiler used his side's Blackstone Fortress, an enormous ship, the Will of Eternity, as a meteor, and unleashed this on Cadia and the pylons. The kinetic impact on Cadia destroyed the pylons and ripped across the planet, and so, with the pylons no longer there to hold it back, the Eye began to expand. It ate the world of Cadia at the same time as the makeshift asteroid's impact tore the planet apart. This led to the galaxy being bisected by the massive warp rift, the Eye of Terror. It ran from the Haydock's anomaly to the eastern fringes of the galaxy. And the Eye became many things to many people. To those on the human side, it was a scar across the sky. To those inside, it was the gates of hell. There, the Emperor's light is hidden behind a storm of psychic nightmares. The Emperor's light is the Astronomicon, a beacon of psychic energy that acts as a call to spaceships that travel through the warp, the way of all space travel, and it aids their navigation. The area within the Eye is its own reality, a crossover point between the warp and the material universe, For the planets and star systems inside, the laws that apply to normal physics and reality are out of the window. Time has no concrete boundaries, and the separate functions of matter, thought, and energy can blur together. To say that a planet that has been lost to the warp is horrifying is a severe understatement. It is every sin, fear, and desire of the human psyche made real. Those worlds in the eye are called demon worlds, and their laws are shaped by whichever chaos god is worshipped and the emotions of the creatures that live there. Imperial ships go far around the eye, as to go too close, you can be thrown off course. Some areas can even cast you forwards and backwards in time, or trap you in an eternity of limbo. Such is the power of the warp storms in the eye. The forces of chaos do not fly through it on a set direction. They launch into the energies there and trust luck and the favour of their black gods. So if ever an attack is launched against the Imperials, it can't be predicted and prepared for. The Eye also offers a place of refuge to many traitor Space Marine legions, those seeking to escape Imperial justice. They are welcomed as they impose the Imperium. Once within the Eye, they are exposed to the effects of chaos, their body warping in strange ways, but to reflect the flaws already within them. The gods of chaos themselves are powerful beings made from psychic energy, who live in and control the psychic realm that is beneath all of reality. Death Guard Space Marines, for example, worship Nurgle, chaos god of both death and decay, and so their forms are putrid and bloated, and a host for every disease known to man. We have mentioned Slaanesh, and there is also Khorne, the god of blood and war and murder, and Tzeentch, god of evolution and change, who warp their worshippers in their own way. So that is how the eye was opened, and the forces within began their seemingly eternal war with those in the material universe. Now, friends, I turn this over to you. What do you think to the Eye of Terror and its effects on the material plane? Was there some tactic that could stop the fall of the Cadian Gate? Have you become trapped in limbo within the Eye of Terror? Comment down below.